Life is precious. I think we would all agree. But often we find that the very things that we do every day in life, we take for granted until something happens in a blink of an eye. Hello, I'm Tom Russo, and this is In a Blink of an Eye, where we discuss stories from ordinary people whose lives are changed in an instant and how they overcome through faith, courage, and determination. Join me on this podcast for uplifting stories of how people face various challenges and learn to not only survive, but thrive. In a Blink of an Eye is sponsored by Marketplace.live. Find what you need and get what you want at Marketplace.live. That's Marketplace.live. Now, today I am honored to be joined with my good friend, Paul Miller. Now, Paul and I go back, about 12 years
12
now?
years. Yep. Met in Atlanta.
12 years. And yeah, we met in Atlanta, and we'll get to that story in a little while. But tell us a little bit about who Paul Miller is, where'd you grow up, and where you live, and your family, and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I grew up in the bustling metropolis of Wilmer, Alabama, which is outside of Mobile, Alabama, the birthplace of Mardi Gras. And if you don't know where that is, that's along the northern side of the Gulf of America.
And now
So we
people in
kind of,
Nolens would argue with you about that Mardi Gras thing.
you can Google it. Now, I will say there's as much because of the size of their city. There's as much bigger, but we are the birthplace of Mardi Gras.
There you go.
So
All
we
right.
are the
I'm not
birthplace of Mardi
questioning
Gras.
you. I'm
So,
not questioning you. And I know you live in Mobile area now,
Mobile
right?
area. Yep.
And that also has big Mardi Gras celebration as well,
That
doesn't
is
it?
Mobile. It is huge. It is huge. We have Fat Tuesday. It's practically a holiday. So about the only thing open is your big box stores. But everybody local, it's us included. In fact, we're just closed a half a day on that. And so it's a chance to get beads and moon pies and a bunch of other stuff you really don't need. But it's a lot of fun.
True
It's like a
Southern
block party.
delicacies for those viewing not here in the South. So Paul is my resident Southern Southeastern Conference buddy here.
Yes, War Eagle, Alabama, you
And
got
I
to
have
choose.
to. Yeah, yeah, and you know, I have to be straightforward. You know, Paul is an Auburn fan, and so
That's right.
we tease each other and needle each other a lot about that. But anyway, go ahead, Paul.
No, I went to, of course, I went to high school here, went to the University of Mobile, got my bachelor's in finance and business management with a minor in biology and psychology. And then went into banking after that. I was married for about 20 years. We've been divorced I've been divorced for a couple of years. We'll get into that story later on, but I have two amazing children.
Yes,
And
you do.
and my son is Addison. He goes to Alabama State. He too is more of a finance and accounting. He's more of an accounting major and wants to use finance, accounting, AI, and he's also interested in logistics. So, but just announced he's got a full ride. Just a smart guy. I had a conversation with him. Just very smart, very much a deep thinker. Very proud of him. And my daughter Ava. And my son, by the way, he's almost 19. He's a freshman in college. My daughter is 16. She's a junior at Davison High School. She's in the JROTC program, which theirs is Navy-based.
Outstanding.
Yeah, theirs is Navy-based. She is, I want to say, petty officer or chief petty officer or something, or somewhere along that, somewhere, I don't know the
Well,
ranking,
lots to
but
be proud of,
a lot to be
regardless of what
proud
her
of.
rank
And
is. Lots to be
they're
proud of.
blazing. They are blazing their own trail. She's
And
looking to get her own
the
scholarship.
blessings
So
the blessings that God has given us is amazing. And one of the things that the viewers don't know, my friendship with Paul goes back to an event we'll talk about here momentarily.
mhm,
But I just love this man's faith and his trust in Jesus Christ, and
mhm,
it makes me happy that we get to share that message. And Paul, I want to bring back a memory that I know is kind of tough, that
mhm,
kind of formed a lot for you in your
mhm.
life.
Mhm.
It was back when you were, I don't know, 17 years old or something.
Yep.
You had a friend. Tell
Yes.
us about your friend and what happened and kind of how that formed who you are.
Yeah. Well, in high school, I did play football my first 2 years of high school, and my sophomore year in high school of playing football, my brother and I made friends with a guy named Byron Kinsey. Byron was AP, one of these all American kids, just smart, funny, outgoing, wasn't too good for anyone. And so Tim and I, and actually and a lot of it was through church. So we hung out with each other at youth groups and um, whatever events or youth group or whatever youth event we had going at what particular church. We hung out quite a bit and became close. Byron actually helped me get my first date. Uh, and so a lot of people, Tom, you know me, and your viewers may not know me, but you know me as I can be funny, I'm outgoing, I can be charismatic. I love to have a good time. I love to make people laugh. I tell people, you get to enjoy that. If I made you laugh, or if I encouraged you, I made you feel good, you can trace it back to this guy named Byron, because before that, I was kind of introverted and quiet. And he said, "Man, you're
You were
much more
shy.
than
You
a."
were in a
Yeah.
shell,
I was
kind of
in
in
a
a
shell. I
shell.
was kind of like I was, and so he kind of brought me out of that, and so,
And it's
um,
amazing the impact that
mhm,
good Christian friends can help you
mhm,
with, and
yeah,
and they can bring you, into a good social situation, and it's important
yeah,
to have the right friends. But
absolutely.
what happened?
Well, just one particular weekend, just like teenagers do. A group of us, 4 or 5 of us, 5 of us, we all had dates. We went to, you remember putt putt, the miniature golf,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
back in
was a
the day.
putt-putt king, man.
Yeah, man, that was good
I
stuff.
won a couple of tournaments.
So people my age, Gen X, people my 52, I'll be 53 next month, but we all remember going to either putt putt and Pizza Hut or putt putt and Godfather's Pizza. But that particular night we went to Godfather's Pizza and just laughed and cut up and had a great time. Had a great time. This was on a Saturday night. Well, the following morning, Sunday morning, 5 a.m., we get a call from the hospital asking us, "Hey, I know you guys went out with Byron Kinsey. What did y'all do last night? And don't lie. Did you do drugs? Did you do alcohol? What were you guys doing?" It's like, we did nothing of the sort. And so we said, "Well, we need you to get down to the hospital." And so my brother and I got up, got dressed, got to the hospital. And by the time we had gotten there, he had passed away. And it's like, they were asking, we kind of like, hey, we went to putt putt, we had pizza, soda, we cut up, and then we went home. There was no drugs, no alcohol. Again, none of that was involved. And so they said, well, he's gone. I'm like, but when he first said it, the way they presented it, I thought, oh, okay. That like, no, 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 he's no longer with us. He's passed away. And at 17, you think you're
That's
invincible.
that's that that
Yeah.
that's harsh. I mean,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about what happened. Was it a car accident or was it
Well, yeah, good question. He had some scar tissue on his heart, that kind of caused his heart to overwork. And from what I remember, if you were to do an MRI or X-ray, it just looked like a shadow instead of scar tissue. But the good thing is like, he did pass away peacefully in his sleep. So he just went to bed. He just didn't wake up. So when he went to bed that night on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, he woke up in the arms of
18
Jesus.
years
Yeah.
old?
Just shy. Yeah. Right at just about a week shy of his 18th birthday. So getting ready to graduate
Oh
high
boy.
school. So had aspirations, I think, to be a entrepreneur, lawyer, could have done anything he wanted. He was a really a bright guy. But to process that at 17 to go, you know, it was like, again, a shock, overwhelming. How do you process that at that age? So, and don't get
Well,
me
and
wrong.
and death and death affects us in so many ways.
Yeah,
Death is, everybody takes it differently, but
yeah,
but I think a lot of it, especially when I'm sure you were mature for 17, but still, you're not that mature at 17.
exactly,
You haven't
exactly.
had life experiences, especially
Right.
that much with death.
Right.
And, the older we get, unfortunately, I have I don't know, well, unfortunately, I've had like 30 people in my high school class that I think have already passed away,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
but, we get used to it, not used to it,
Well, it's a
uh,
part of life.
able to deal with it
Right.
more the
Right.
older we get.
Well, death is a part of life. We all
It
move
is.
on
It's
and
the circle of
it's
life.
the circle of
Yes.
life. At some point, we will all move on, but you want somebody to live. Our expectations is we want everyone to live a full life. And, with the events of last week with Charlie Kirk, unfortunately, his life being taken way too soon. But look at the impact he had. And I'm not saying Byron had that same impact, but he had a very profound impact on our high school after that happened. So I had moments
And well,
where,
he obviously had a huge impact on you and
yeah,
your life and forming your personality and your person that you became.
yeah,
And I could only imagine, knowing you as I do now, that one of the ways to dig through that grief was through your faith, because
yes.
I can only imagine that was true. I'm speaking for you, but
Oh, yeah. Well, I will tell you, and you will see when we're talking about, because I told you I had three things I wanted to share with you and your audience today. And I mean, this was the first, but the common thread, and we'll get into it, is I had him as a friend, but also had church friends. I had family. I
right.
can't stress this enough. Try to surround yourself with people that will love and support you, and will take care of you, um, and encourage you. People that will just sit there and just let you cry on their shoulder. And I would say this, if you have an opportunity, be that for someone else. So that
Amen. Amen.
when that happens, you understand it's
Well,
life is
God
not
bless you for
fair.
saying that, because
Yeah.
that's a big part of the reason why I chose, out of the blue, to do this podcast.
Right.
Was I was given a curveball in life,
Right.
with my sight, and rather than wallow in misery, I wanted to share the good news that
Right.
there is a tomorrow, and tomorrow is better than today, and we will overcome.
Right.
And the end is the reward,
Right.
and
Right.
we're working towards it, but don't give up, and
Right.
always be courageous, and you've epitomized that, obviously through the death of a friend, because that's very, very traumatic. I know I didn't have a super, super close friend die when I was young, but we had a string of suicides at my high school, with several
Mhm.
people that I knew, when
Right.
I was a senior, and, like you said, it impacted the whole school,
Right.
and many kids went kinda off the deep end, and if you didn't have that foundation in Christ, I think that,
Right.
caused it,
Right. I mean,
you had something to fall
yeah,
back on.
absolutely. And that's where you put your hope and your faith. Now, I know that sounds empty, but I'm telling you, until you go through something, like this, that's
Oh,
very
not at
personal to
all.
you,
Yeah,
it becomes, you see those moments when God becomes God to you. When he puts his arms around you, when Jesus literally sits next to you and just cries with you. When Jesus, he
I
is sitting there going,
amen.
my son, I know you are hurting, but you're not alone. And so
Right.
I've had thousands of those moments in life. So, so
Well, and as that formed you into the man that you have become, I know you went on building your career, going to
mhm,
college. You told us about that, and then
yeah,
getting into your career. Our paths crossed about 12 years ago.
yes,
We both worked for the same company,
yep,
that will remain nameless, but we actually met at a that we met at a corporate event in Atlanta,
yeah,
Georgia,
sales training.
at a sales training, and you and I had uh, a very unique experience, let's
Yeah,
say, at this company. We worked in an incredibly hostile environment,
Yes. Yes.
and you unfortunately were let go almost what, a couple of weeks after I got there.
We met in May. Don't ask me how I
Yeah.
remember these. We met in May. It was sales training. I didn't realize part of our sales training was to escape a straitjacket. So
Oh yeah, that was one of my things that I had to endure. That's another in a blink of an eye
yeah,
segment for me
that's
to
another
share
story
one
for
day.
another time. But, but it's amazing. Like you run, and to give a little background on my career, I went to the University of Mobile, but as I was in college, I had my own little business. I had a used car lot. I had my own little. I don't get the whole story, but I had Paul's Auto Sales, and so I did that, and that led to meeting
It's
someone
good you
who.
didn't name it George's
I know, I know.
or Bill's.
Bells, why would I name it? Yeah, Auburn used car. Anyway, uh, the Aggies gig them. I did gig them.
There
So,
you go.
so, uh, but I did that. And then I worked for a mortgage broker, which led to, a bank, which led to software sales. But, in that course, it wasn't like, now we'll get to the story about me, losing my job where we worked together, but losing the job in and of itself wasn't uncommon because I worked for uh, I had my own business. I went to work for the bank and then switched banks. And the bank that I left bought the bank where I went, and that eliminated my position. But soon afterwards, but not but soon afterwards, I got a job with a software company, and I was there 4 years. But that was the one. It was December 3rd. Addison was two. Ava wasn't born yet. Ava was going to be born 2 months, and then like 2 months prior to her birth, I got let go from that job, not knowing what I was going to do, where I was going to go, what I was going to do. But thank goodness I had a severance and bonus, and they were really good to me. It was just bad economy. I
Right.
didn't know wrong. They were very fair to me, but I didn't. I didn't have to work the next year. However, I looked for a job, and in '09 it was kind of tough to find. So I cut grass. I
You
cleaned
did
up
what you had
forklift.
to do.
I did what I had to do to get through
Right.
that. Now I want to share a little story. Back when I was doing well and making money, I felt like, and I'm not saying God audibly got in my ear, but I felt led. I knew a friend of mine was struggling. He had 3 kids. He just started teaching. His wife was trying to find a job. They're doing extremely well now, but at the time they were struggling. So I felt like I needed to put a few $100 in an envelope and put in their mailbox. And Tom, I felt like a criminal because I was like making sure I was putting money in somebody's mailbox and
Right.
felt like I was doing something wrong. But anyway, I put it in there. And he didn't know. I didn't advertise it. I'm just sharing this story now. But did you know? I will tell you, and I'm not making this up. I'm not saying this is going to how it's going to work for everybody, but here's how it worked for me. There were times when I would be like, I didn't know how I was going to pay the bills. Like I would work all week at an 8, 9, $10 an hour job, doing various things, temp work, and think, man, I am short the X. I am short this and short that. I would go out to the mailbox, and did you know, in the same manner in which I had blessed someone else to help them through their hard times, that's how God helped me get through some of my financial hard times. Now, again,
Amen. And
so
I've had that same thing happen in my life.
right,
And what you give, you get back tenfold. Not necessarily monetarily, sometimes spiritually, sometimes
right,
friendship wise, sometimes with aid in an emergency situation, whatever. But
right.
when you take the time to help your fellow man, God is watching. God is watching that, and favor
Absolutely.
will fall back on you at some point.
Absolutely.
And fast forwarding to so in the essence of time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fast forwarding to you get back on track and you get with this company that you had worked for about a year before I joined. Is that correct?
I worked for MoneyGram for 4 years, but then yes, then I worked for another company called Seco Management. You can edit that out if you need to. But I went to work for a consulting company for about a year before I came to work for
Right,
you.
right. And then the company that you and I worked for,
Yes.
uh, you had been there for about a year, right?
Yes, I was there about a year before I met
Yeah.
you. Absolutely. I sure
Yes.
was.
And so, and to let the audience know what happened when I joined, and the first thing we did was go to this sales meeting in Atlanta. Uh, and I could tell all kinds of stories just from that meeting, both that happened to me and to my friend Paul here.
Yeah.
But one thing that stuck out in my mind beyond the straitjacket incident and the giving me the full bar tab for someone who drank all night
Right.
um, uh, pay. Those were two other incidents, but
Uh,
this was a very hostile work environment. But the next day after this bar incident, um, we were going to lunch, and Paul and I had kind of struck up a friendship the night before
yeah.
because we weren't really drinking and carrying on. We were just kind of sitting there talking and got to know each other and felt that we had a connection through Christ and stuff. And the next day, that supervisor sees that I want to go to lunch with Paul and tells me not to go to lunch with Paul, that he's the wrong person to go to lunch with.
Mhm.
And I was shocked. I've never had anybody in a work environment tell me who I could not go to lunch with.
Right.
And I flat told him, "I'm sorry, I'm going to lunch with my friend Paul."
Yeah.
And so I went to lunch with Paul, and I think that put me on the bad list for whatever reason, because Paul was obviously on the outs for standing his ground with some things, with some
Right.
of the antics that this clown had done, and soon thereafter, I don't remember how long, but you lost your job pretty soon thereafter.
It was the first Friday in August. Uh,
So
'Cause they put
within a
me on a
matter of
PIP
months.
within a matter of months. They put me on a PIP, and as you recall, I met all the requirements,
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
they
Well, they did the same to me,
you
and
know
I met the requirements, and it didn't matter because that same person was angry that I had been friends with you and stayed friends with you, and other situations, and uh, be that as it may, it caught you off guard when you were let go,
right.
because it was a good position from a pay standpoint, from a family
Benefits, yeah,
support
great. Travel,
standpoint.
yeah.
Great benefits, and so it was a shock.
Mhm.
That was another blink of an eye for you. You were
It
unemployed
was
now.
another but, the thing if you recall what it did to me, it really damaged my self-confidence.
It
And,
damaged your
I
confidence.
mean,
I
I
can
think it
remember
eroded it completely.
numerous phone calls with you where I
Right.
felt you were very low. But I do know something about you, even during those low times.
Yes.
I know you kept your faith, Paul.
I did.
I know you
I
kept your
did.
faith.
I did.
And I think that's what brought you out of it, brother.
It did. It did,
I
and I
do.
would tell anybody, Tom, you know, I allowed this person that I allowed his words to affect me, and the lesson I learned from this is, I will from then on, I didn't allow any employer to talk down to me. I didn't allow, this person would pick up the phone and call you and say, "Your disappointment," and just hang up.
Yes.
Talk about leadership 101, right?
Oh,
So,
I just yeah,
little sarcasm.
you and I have traded so many stories about that
Yeah.
particular individual and how we were treated.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
he told me that I was going to get in trouble if I went to go home to see my mom who was dying of cancer before she died.
yep,
If you remember
I
that,
do
he
remember
told
that.
me that I couldn't go. And
Yeah.
I said, "I'm going. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
just never seen anybody, but regardless, I know exactly what you mean.
Oh, yeah. It eroded, but it also and we'll get to where my current job, uh, but it allowed me to realize, like, when I am in a position when God puts me in a position to be a steward of others and to lead others, to be mindful of my words, my actions, my attitude, my behavior, my tone, in which I speak to people. And, it was like, you know, he no longer, and then I remember speaking of another, we didn't, but the guy at Seco, he was a good mentor friend of mine, Joe Waits. He passed away, but he had sent me something. I still have it on a thumb drive, which talks about forgiveness. And the thing that I learned with working with this individual is, as bad as he spoke to us, as bad as this person treated us, we still have to forgive. God
Well, we
loves
do,
God,
and
and
he
this
was
stuff.
hurting too.
Exactly.
He was
Hurting
hurting
people
too,
hurt people.
and
Hurting people
and
hurt people. Yeah.
he lashed out at others because of the pain that he had, and
Right.
I don't think he had the joy of Christ in his heart,
Not
but,
at all.
I know it sounds strange, but I do pray for that individual every day,
Right.
I do,
Right.
and it's part of my healing, in that process as well.
Andy
I
Andrews
think you're
said,
absolutely right.
um, Andy Andrews said something that was profound to me. He said that forgiveness is about the past, trust is about the future. The good thing is I never have to trust this person. I never have to be his friend. I am required to love and to pray for him. And one day I found myself praying for him that God would keep his hand on this person and to bless them. Because up until then, because I carried that pain, as you know, for a long time. I carried that resentment, as you know, for a long time. He led me to believe that I was the worst salesperson ever. Like
Right.
I shouldn't, I need to find something else, which
Oh,
is,
I thought I was. Wait, no,
yeah,
there's
yeah. Yeah. Remember, there was somebody before us. Remember
Oh, I know.
Greg,
Our buddy
God rest his
Craig,
soul.
yeah,
Yeah, God rest his soul
he went
too.
through the
So,
same thing. Yes.
this was a guy that
Uh,
always had to have a target, and it was his insecurity, not ours. And I had to learn
yes,
to work through that. And again, Tom, I was surrounded by people that loved and supported me. I've been part of a men's group now for 16 years. We have met. There's three of us, four of us that are left that are original, and others have come and gone in that group. But there's, um, that have just loved me, supported me, helped me get side
that's
jobs, whether
great.
it be cutting grass, moving furniture, working on a road crew, laying asphalt. I mean, you name it. But God
Well,
surrounded and provided. And so, you know,
but in this downtime
yep,
after you got let go, and I know you were down for a while, um, you went through something personally as well that was tough,
yeah,
and, you mentioned it earlier, and that was your divorce.
right.
You had been married for 20 years, and I know that affected you deeply, and part of it through the struggle, it kind of estranged you from your son for a few years.
For 3 years, my son and I didn't speak. And that was an unimaginable pain that just lingered. There is no Advil, there is no Tylenol or
No,
ibuprofen.
sir.
There's no pain relief for that for a father,
No.
and especially like someone like me. And you know, and they too were realizing, they were trying to process, and I'm not going to get into particulars between me and my ex. We get along great now. We've both seen our flaws. And I think that one of the things I would encourage people, I've been in counseling now for 3.5 years from the time we were separated until I was divorced. And now I've been divorced now for, little over 2 years. I'm still seeing this counselor once a month. Now I'll probably wind down this year, but then next year I'll probably do once a quarter. I'll tell everybody when it comes to counseling, and if you have the resources and if there's a counseling center at your church, a friend or your insurance will take care of it. It's not a stigma. It's not a sign that you're crazy or doing
It's
bad.
not a
And
sign you're weak. No,
not a
I
sign.
actually
Exact.
think it's a
Thank you.
sign of strength.
Yep, it
It's a
is.
sign of strength,
And somebody told me the other
because
day, yeah, and somebody told me the other day, Tom, that he said, I'm going to go to counseling now when I feel like I'm doing good, because you do have to work because you and I have chatted now about Byron. I mean, there's, childhood trauma, getting over, previous bosses and people telling you that you are, you're worthless.
worthless.
But we'll get to that as far as rebuilding confidence in a minute. But you have to dig through that and because sometimes we get like miracles happen like that. Miracles are instantaneous.
Yes.
Healing is a journey. Healing takes time and it's a
Yes.
process, but you have to keep moving forward and you have to persevere. You have to, you know,
Well,
persevere
and
is
you
another word
mentioned
for
something.
faith. So,
You mentioned something else earlier that I want to bring into the fold. You talked about how you kind of roundabout way. You kind of talked about how it's easy to ask God for favor when things are not going your way,
right,
but it's also so good to thank God for when things are going your way
right,
and when you have blessings, and to use that good for others and to help others who are
right.
struggling. I'm putting words in your mouth, but I think that's where we were kind of going
Absolutely.
with that.
Absolutely.
And it's a twofold. He's
Yeah.
there when you need him, but he needs to hear the good too, and the
Yeah,
gracious.
there would be nights and I'm sitting here, I'm estranged from my kids, and I would just be, you know what, God, I would tell everybody, and I tell, be careful of the advice you give, because I would tell everybody, oh, just take it a day at a time. Well, I was in that boat, and I would just get my head to the pillow, and I would say, God, thank you for another day. And in all of this, I did maintain my sense of humor. That's what got it, kind of got me through it. And
Oh, you're one funny dude, man.
I can be,
Oh, you
uh,
are.
so
You're a lot of fun to be with.
oh, yeah, man. Yeah. And I'm gonna get to Houston. I'm gonna get out to your area, neck of the woods soon, I
Good.
promise. So, but, I would say, God, thank you for my health. Thank you for the people you put in my life to get me through this. Thank you for, getting me to the right counselor. Thank you for my men's group. Thank you for my mom and dad, my brother, and Tom, you. I talked to you several times, and, you know that moment where you hear pain in my voice and when the pain was no longer there, and you would hear that in
I
my
do.
voice.
I can vividly remember talking to you on the phone, and I even told you, I said, "Paul, you sound like a new man."
Mhm,
You sound like a new man
mhm,
because you
mhm,
you you came to grips. We all go through it. Whatever the blink of an eye moment is,
mhm.
we all go through that valley.
Yep, we
Where
do,
you feel
we
like,
do.
why me, God? Why is this all
Right,
happening to me?
right.
And then through your faith and through your courage and through your family and friends, you
Mhm.
start building it back up. And
Step
that's
by
where you
step.
talk about your confidence.
Yep, step by step.
And now I want to go to current day, because
Current
current
day.
day Paul is
Yeah,
such a success.
thank you.
1-800 radiator, my friends.
Yes,
This is the man.
that's it, 1-800 Radiator and AC. So, back during that transition after, where we worked together, a buddy of mine, I was trying to find a job, and, and a friend of mine who's a banker said, "Hey, man, I've got this guy. Look, it's a go-between. You don't have to stay here forever. But I just told him I just need income. It'd be perfect. It didn't seem stressful. It's a franchise, 210 locations nationwide. And so this particular guy I went to work for, Mike, he's an awesome guy. He's the kind of guy, if you burn the warehouse down, he would apologize for making it too flammable. But he's a big time believer. He is a big time believer. In fact, he allowed me to live in his garage apartment when I was separated. He lined up my counseling, but, you know, he was a guy from Memphis. He had worked for a big company and had a big time job. So he bought this franchise. And soon after I started, he bought New Orleans, that location. And so he was doing roughly about 700,000 a year. And so here we go. I was like, I'd get out there and I just do a little bit. And so I'm like, if I'm going to do this, it's just a go between. I'm going to be the best radiator salesman that ever lived. Probably not, but I just, so
And I believe you are, my friend.
at times I have my moments, but you know how sales is, it'll humble you, right? So,
It will.
and so
I know
in the
you're right.
11 years, we did build it up to 4 locations and 8 million in revenue. But we decided a couple of years ago to sell the New Orleans location, which was a great move for us. We've got 3 locations now, doing roughly 6 million. But to take him from 700,000 to 6 million, I am his
And I
sales
know you're a
director.
big, big
That was it.
part of it.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean, I
you're a
was.
big, big part of it.
Yep.
And 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 the confidence that you have, because it takes confidence to be in sales
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know that, it does. It takes confidence to be in
it is
sales.
not. Anybody tells you it's easy, they are lying. It
They're
is.
not telling the truth.
There's no
But
silver
but,
bullets,
uh
and with
but I
skill.
admire
Yeah.
I admire your courage and your faith, my friend, and I am so proud of you
Yeah.
for the
Thank
man
you.
that you have been and that you are today,
Yeah.
um, for what you've overcome. And the best part of all of this, the best absolute part is you have reconciled with your son and
Yep.
you now have maybe a better relationship with your son than you've ever had
Oh,
before. So God
really.
bless you, your family.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
we've kind of exceeded our 30-minute time window. So you have such a great story. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of end it there for us. But if you like hearing uplifting stories of overcoming challenges in life, click the like and subscribe button right over there or down here. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but it's somewhere, and I need it. You need it. It's wonderful. It'll tell you when we're going to have another in of a blink of an eye podcast. So please do that. And maybe you have a story of your own to share. Maybe it was an accident, a sudden loss, PTSD, alcohol, drug abuse, a natural disaster, illnesses, and you would like to share that journey of overcoming. Please contact me at the email shown below for consideration for a future podcast interview. I rely on the viewers like you to share their stories, and I'm so blessed. I have been touched with messages from about 10 or 15 people that have seen the podcast and have said that it has impacted their lives. I'm looking at my sheet right now. I have one, two, three, four. I have four more set for coming up in September and October. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that have expressed interest. And I always have room and time for more, but I rely on viewers like you to share their stories. Thanks again to Marketplace.live for their continued sponsorship to bring these great stories to all of us. Marketplace.live, find what you want and get what you need. And I want to thank everyone out there, especially my family, our military veterans and first responders who put their lives on the line every day. And we can't forget our teachers and medical professionals who all make the world better one person at a time. But most of all, thank God for all the blessings in our world. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now, but don't lose focus that there are great people and great things that are happening. We just need to make sure that we concentrate on those positive things every single day. Until next time, my friends, Carpe Diem, seize the day.